My name is Rachel Whitfield. I was 32 years old, and I was standing in my own living room, watching my mother-in-law hold a folded piece of paper that supposedly proved the house I had paid for no longer belonged to me. My family had spent 11 years underestimating me. That afternoon, they were about to learn what that mistake cost. Welcome back to Cherry Revenge Tales. Drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from tonight. And if you believe in quiet, composed justice over shouting matches, go ahead and like this video and subscribe, because this story earns it. My husband Colin sat beside her, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. Diane's sister Pam was there too, along with Colin's brother Trent, who never missed a free meal. "You know," Diane said, cutting her chicken with theatrical precision, "some women build a home, others just decorate one someone else paid for." She smiled at me over her wine glass. "I only say that because Colin tells me you're always so busy with your little consulting work. Must be nice, playing office while the real bills get handled." I kept my expression pleasant. My little consulting work had paid off our mortgage 2 years early. "The house is worth close to $600,000 now," Trent said, like he was reading a stock ticker. "Prime location. Diane's been saying it should have gone to family, not just sat under Rachel's name." I set my fork down slowly. "It's under both our names," I said, "Colin's and mine. We bought it together." Diane waved a hand. "Technicalities. Colin's father built this family on land, on property, on things that stay. You're new to this family. Rachel, 11 years, and you still don't understand what family means here. Not affection, not grandchildren, not history. $600,000 of brick and land, and Diane wanted her name on it." I didn't confront anyone that night. I drove home in silence, and Colin sat beside me, twisting his wedding ring the way he always did when guilt was chewing through him. I asked him one question. "Diane talks about the house like she has a claim to it. Does she?" "She's just talking," he said. "She does that." I believed him, because 11 years of marriage teaches you to believe the man who shares your bed. That was my mistake, and I want you to remember it, because it's the same mistake a lot of women watching this are making right now. Diane called me directly. "No small talk." "I've spoken to a lawyer friend," she said. "Family property should stay protected in a family trust. I'd like you to sign some paperwork. It formalizes what should have been done from the start." "What paperwork?" I asked. "Nothing complicated. Colin's already reviewing it. I told her I'd need to see it myself before I signed anything." Her voice sharpened instantly. "This is exactly the problem with your generation. You treat marriage like a business deal, instead of a commitment." "I'll read it," I repeated. "Then I'll decide." For protection. I signed for both of us. I thought it would be easier than making it a whole thing. "You forged my signature on our house." "I didn't forge it, I just signed it the way we always do things together. We have never done anything together where you signed my name for me," I said. My voice didn't rise. I have never once raised my voice in that house, and I wasn't going to start over a piece of paper. "This is fraud, Colin. Do you understand that word?" He didn't answer. Diane's voice answered for him from the hallway, because of course she was already inside my house. I looked at both of them and said the only sentence I needed to say that night: "It will never be finalized." Then I walked upstairs, closed the bedroom door, and sat on the edge of the bed with my hands perfectly steady. That steadiness confused them. Diane expected tears. Colin expected an explosion he could apologize his way out of. Neither of them had ever seen me go quiet like that, because quiet had never been necessary before. I heard Colin pacing outside the bedroom door for almost 20 minutes, waiting for a fight that wasn't coming. When he finally knocked and asked if we could talk, I told him I needed the night, and I meant it. I needed the night to think clearly, without his voice or his mother's voice filling the space where my own judgment needed to live. Instead, I opened my laptop. Here is something Diane never knew about me, something none of them ever bothered to ask in 11 years. Before I became a consultant, I spent 6 years as a real estate closing attorney's paralegal, specializing in title and deed law. I know exactly what makes a deed valid, and exactly what makes one collapse the moment someone competent looks at it. I called the notary listed on the document the next morning, using the calm, professional voice I used with difficult clients for years. Her name was Marla, and she worked out of a strip mall shipping store 2 towns over. I need to confirm a notarization from 4 days ago, I said. A Rachel Whitfield quitclaim deed. There was a pause, keys clicking. I don't have a record of that name in my log that day, she said. I do have a Colin Whitfield who came in with paperwork for 2 signatures. He said Colin had signed my name himself, and Diane had pushed him into filing it anyway, betting that I'd never check. That was when I activated the small recorder built into my smartwatch, the same one I wore every day for client calls. I tapped it twice, felt the soft double vibration confirming it was live, and drove to Diane's house. I want to talk about the deed, I said calmly, standing in her kitchen. There's nothing to discuss, Diane said, arms crossed. It's done. I let her keep talking. I let Trent, who wandered in halfway through, add his own commentary about how I'd never really been one of them anyway. I let every classist, condescending word land and settle into that quiet recorder on my wrist, because I wasn't building an argument to win in that kitchen. I was building a record for somewhere else entirely. You'll regret fighting this, Diane said as I left. Family looks after family. You're not family, you're a guest who overstayed her welcome. Then it's a good thing, I said, that the deed to a guest's name still requires the guest's actual signature. 3 years earlier, after watching Diane make one too many comments about what's really Colin's, I had taken the unusual step of paying off our mortgage entirely, using an inheritance from my own late father, and then, on my closing attorney friend's advice, filing the deed not as simple joint tenancy, but as tenants in common, with a survivorship rider naming a third-party trustee, my father's old estate attorney, as the only person authorized to approve any future transfer. It was a quiet precaution most couples never think to take, which meant the quitclaim deed Colin filed, the one transferring ownership to Diane, was not just fraudulent by forgery, it was legally void on its face, because it never should have gone through without the trustee's approval. Diane had built her entire victory on a document that had never had any power to begin with. I let 3 weeks pass. During those weeks, Colin tried apologizing in the small ways guilty people do. Coffee left on my desk, dishes done without being asked. I read it once and set it aside. An apology note doesn't undo a forged signature, and I wasn't interested in being managed back into comfort before the matter was actually settled. I let Diane plan a family gathering to celebrate what she believed was her formal ownership of the house, complete with a real estate agent she'd already invited to discuss listing it. She wanted witnesses to her win. I made sure she got them. The gathering happened in my own living room, 10 people deep, folding chairs brought in from Diane's garage like she was hosting a ribbon cutting. This house represents what happens when the right people finally take control of what matters. I stood by the door. Before you continue, I said, I invited someone else who might have thoughts on ownership. The doorbell rang on cue. I opened it to Harold Reyes, my late father's estate attorney, and the legally designated trustee on our property title, a soft-spoken man in his 60s who had never raised his voice in the 20 years I'd known him, and didn't need to now. Mrs. Whitfield, he said to Diane, holding a thin folder, I understand there was an attempt to transfer title on a property for which I hold sole transfer authority, as trustee. I'll need everyone here to understand that no transfer occurred, because no transfer could occur without my signature, which was never sought and would never have been given, based on a forged co-owner signature. The room went silent. Diane's champagne glass trembled slightly in her hand. That's not possible, she said. The deed was filed. A void deed, Harold said, doesn't become valid by being filed. It becomes evidence of fraud. I've already forwarded a copy, along with the notary's sworn statement that Mrs. Rachel Whitfield never appeared to sign anything, to the county recorder's fraud unit. I watched Diane's champagne glass finally slip from her fingers and shatter against the hardwood floor she had planned to sell out from under me. You did this, Diane said, turning on me, her voice cracking into something shrill and unfamiliar. You've been planning this. No, I said, still calm, still steady. I've been protecting what I built, the same way you told me family always looks after what's theirs. I just happen to be better at it. Trent tried to salvage the room, This is a I'd recommend everyone in this room consult their own attorney before saying anything further. Overstayed her welcome. Then I asked her, politely, to leave my house. She did. If you've ever been told that keeping quiet, staying calm, and doing your homework makes you weak, I want you to remember this story. The people who underestimate composed women are usually the ones who never bothered to read the paperwork. Boundaries aren't cruelty, and protecting what you built isn't betrayal, no matter how loudly someone insists otherwise. If it resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe for more. And don't forget to drop a comment letting us know where you watched from tonight.